If you guys have driven a car on the track or just ridden in a car on track, you know that you get tossed around quite a bit, and it's not the most ideal thing to be happening when you're trying to focus on driving. But today, I think I have a solution. All right, so in this box, I've got some new bucket seats. Well, just one seat, because the passenger doesn't have to worry about driving, so they can take care of themselves. These are the Recaro Profi SPGs. You guys probably have seen Recaro seats before. Before we actually get into the install, let's take a look at what the differences are and why you would want to install this seat in your car. When we compare the Recaro to the stock seat, the main difference you'll see is the bolstering. It goes up much higher and goes all the way up to the shoulder pads, and that's what's gonna allow it to hold you in place a lot better when you're out on track. You'll also notice that this is a fixed back seat, so you can't recline the back like you can with the stock seat, and that's something to keep in mind. They do make aftermarket seats that are reclinable, just in case you wanna put some seats in your daily driver or weekend car. Another thing you'll see is these guides here so that you can safely run a harness, which I'll get into in a little bit. Clearly, we need to remove the stock seat before we install the new seat, and this is where you may or may not run into a bit of an issue like I did. The seat is held in with 4 bolts, and on the pre-facelift models, the 13 through 16, they use these special E10 bolts that require an E10 socket. And even though I have the right socket, I was only able to remove 2 out of the 4 bolts. And if you take a look at the bolts I was able to remove, you can see that the head of the bolt is actually starting to shear off, which is what happened to one of the other 2 I wasn't able to remove. The head of the bolt just snapped off, and then the other one just rounded off. So this may happen to you. Not a huge deal. If it does, you'll just have to drill them out like I had to. And once you get through the head of the bolt, that'll relieve the pressure. You'll be able to remove the seat, and you should easily be able to unscrew the rest of the bolt. Obviously, I had to buy new bolts, so I just bought 4 newer bolts from the newer generation that are just regular hex bolts. I'll leave this part number down in the description for you guys if you need to do the same. So let's get this seat uninstalled and we can get the new one in. We're gonna slide the seat all the way back to give us access to both of the bolts in the front, and we can go ahead and remove those. Now we'll slide it forward and do the same thing in the back. We've got all 4 of the bolts removed, so now we need to tilt the seat back and we need to unplug the harnesses located underneath the seat. I've got everything unplugged, so now we can carefully pull the seat out. When it comes to installing aftermarket seats in your car, you have a couple different options as far as mounting goes. Some seats like this one require side mounts, some can just bolt directly to sliders or a base from the bottom, and you basically need to go out and get all those different components. To make it as easy as possible for myself, I picked up the Buddy Club Super Lowdown rails that have everything I need. So we've got the side mounts, we have the sliding rails, and it bolts directly to the floor of the car. So I'm gonna bolt these on there, and then we can throw the seat in the car. All right, so now I just need to bolt things up, play around with the adjustment a bit to make sure these sliders are straight, and then we can move on to the finishing touches. Let's talk about why I'm sticking with the stock seat belt rather than running a harness, because ideally you'd want to run a harness with a bucket seat because it's the most efficient way of keeping you in your seat. One reason, I have no rollover protection. So in the case of a rollover accident, if the roof collapses and I'm stuck in that upright position, I have the chance of being crushed. The stock seat belt is at least gonna give me some mobility just in case that happens. Another thing is a Hans device. If you aren't familiar with a Hans device, it basically prevents your head from becoming a bowling ball in the case of a frontal impact. For example, if you do get in an accident without a Hans device and you're running a harness, that harness is gonna keep your body in that position in the seat, but your head with the helmet is free to move. So you're gonna have that very violent jerking reaction forward, which is no good. I have neither of those two things. which is exactly why I'm sticking with the stock seat belt. So if you're wanting to run a harness with a bucket seat, you want rollover protection and a Hans device. Now, for those of you who are wondering about the weight savings, I weighed the stock seat, it weighed in at about 42 pounds, and then this seat with everything installed weighed in at 26 pounds. So that is a saving of 16 pounds, which I definitely don't have 16 pounds to lose, so I'll certainly take that. And there you have it, guys. The seat is installed. It looks absolutely amazing, as you can see, but most importantly, it's gonna hold me in place a lot better. Now, I'm not running a harness. I'm actually sticking with the stock seat belt for now because I don't have a roll cage. So I rerouted the anchor bolt on the left side through the guide hole of the seat, and then I have the buckle bolted to the seat rail on the right side. I also did need to grab a 3.3 ohm resistor to put into the airbag connector so I don't have a light on the dash. But other than that, we are good to go, and I am super excited for our first track day in a few weeks at NCM. So be on the lookout for that. If you guys are interested in torque specs, I'll leave them down in the description, as well as links to the seat and the seat rails. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.